Rick Revel, Mr. History, brought to you in part by Dixie Gun Works in Union City, Tennessee. This historical marker in Adams, Tennessee tells of the Bell Witch that haunted the family of John Bell. Oftentimes, folklore and history collide with one another, and when it comes to the story of the Bell Witch, the lines between fact and fiction get blurred sometimes. There have been hundreds of newspaper articles on the subject, as well as books, movies, television shows, and even a podcast bearing the name of the infamous entity. The Bell Witch is considered to be America's first and most famous ghost story of all. But yet to this very day, the story is surrounded by controversy. If the historical accounts are truly factual, was the Bell Witch really a witch? Or was it a paranormal anomaly? On today's episode of History Highway, I've traveled to Adams, Tennessee to visit with my good friend Dewey Edwards. Dewey is both a historian and paranormal investigator. When we return, we're going to sit on the front porch of a cabin built by John Bell and talk about the first sightings of the Bell Witch. It doesn't matter if you're a reenactor who loves the smell of black powder in the morning on the battlefield, or a collector who admires the craftsmanship of a well-made weapon of old. Dixie Gun Works has a Pedersoli just for you. And not only does Dixie Gun Works have a warehouse full of Pedersoli reproduction firearms, they have an incredible collection of antique firearms. Inside the pages of their huge catalog, you will find gun parts, shooting accessories, reenactor clothing, camping supplies, and even some big guns if you like to burn a lot of powder. Dixie Gun Works is located in Union City, Tennessee. But for your convenience, visit our online store at www.dixiegunworks.com or call 1-800-238-6785. I'm here at the John Bell cabin with Dewey Edwards, and Dewey's going to kind of fill us in on things about the cabin and the family. If I understand, Dewey, this is not the exact location. So
No,
where did the cabin sit?
This cabin was originally, I'd say part of the cabin was about a mile and a half across the field back here at the old original John Bell site, which we'll go there in a little bit, and I'll show you where that was at.
Okay.
Joel Bell tore part of the house down and made a cabin out of it. And then later on it was moved from across the river to this site here.
So most likely it was a dog trot originally.
More than likely, yes.
And had a kitchen built onto the back that said kind of a T-shaped
Yes, right.
building.
Right.
Now, this would be the actual building that had hauntings, but before the cabin had hauntings, didn't he have the first experience?
Yes, he did. John Bell went out to check on his corn crops one day, and he always carried his rifle with him in case they'd run upon some game, they had to have for a meal. And anyway, they seen this big black dog in the corner of the cornfield, and it had a rabbit's head, which is kind of odd, you know. See
that would be, yes.
A dog with a big black dog with a rabbit's head.
Complete with bunny ears and everything, right?
So, so John threw his rifle up and shot at it, and he was a pretty good shot. He didn't miss very often. And anyway, as soon as he fired the shot, as soon as the smoke cleared, the dog was gone. And they walked over to look to see, you know, if they could see any sign of blood or hair or anything, and there was no sign there, just a hole in the ground where the bullet buried up in the ground, you know. So
probably didn't even leave a track, probably.
No, it didn't.
Didn't leave a track.
They couldn't find any evidence at all after that.
That's interesting.
That was the first, and then Dean, one of the slaves, one of John Bell's slaves, was named Dean. His actual name was Aberdeen, but they called him Dean for short. And he actually had a few run-ins with this, what he called a witch dog.
And he was on the way to see his wife or something, if I remember right.
Yeah, right. He was married. His wife belonged to another slave owner,
right,
and another next farm over. So he was going to see. He had to get permission to go see her from both of them. John Bell had given permission to leave. He had to have permission from the other guy that owned her to go see her. So she made him what was called a witch ball, which is made out of some kind of hair and all that stuff put together. He wore it as a necklace. It's supposed to ward off the witch. But anyway, he's going to see her, and this black dog comes up to him. And he's heard the tale about the black dog, and he had his axe with him. So anyway, he fires back, brings the axe up, and hits the dog in the head with it, and it splits the dog's head in half. Well, he runs on back to see his wife, and coming back home, he sees the dog again, but this time it's got two heads instead of one. So just some of the sightings, you know, that happened there. Of course, it started out with a light scratching on the windows on the side of the house, and
a bumping.
Right, and then knocking on the windows and on the doors and stuff.
Right.
And then it moved inside, and it made all kind of noises inside. It said it sounded like somebody rolled a cannonball down the steps in the house,
right,
upstairs.
And sheets would come off the bed. Is that what I read?
Right.
Is that correct?
Sheets off the bed. It would tie Betsy's hair in knots around the bedpost. Pull the cover off of her. It slapped her several times.
It seemed to focus on her there,
right,
in the latter part, didn't it?
Right, it did.
Do you have any idea why? Any theories?
There is a theory. I don't agree with it. It was put out by. There's a couple of books. One of them was All That Lives. I think it was Melissa Sanders Self. I think was the author of that one. That they were kind of hinting around the idea of incest. You know, and I didn't agree with that. And the movie American Haunting also had the same thing in it. I did a little promotional for that one here on site here with that one. I wasn't in the movie. I did get to get on the extra features on the DVD, but that was their leaning toward it was. There was incest involved. She would not tell what was going on, and this poltergeist was trying to get her to tell. And then the John Bell's troubles later on, as far as the stick turned sideways in his throat, he couldn't talk, his tongue swelled up, he couldn't eat, you know. And that was part of the deal too, that he would not confess to what he had done. And that's what the poltergeist was torturing him. I don't agree with it. You know, I don't. You know, and when American Haunting was out, they never showed it in Springfield, just because of that they were hinting around at incest. You know, and it was shown in Springfield.
Yeah, I can understand why, because that's a direct accusation.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to have a direct accusation in any of my pieces.
Exactly.
And we're not directly accusing John Bell of that here. We're just giving you things that people have theorized. This location, or about a mile and a half from here, original home. Now, he is buried not far from here, is that correct?
Right, yeah. He's buried probably within 50 yards where the home site was at. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, how long after all these sightings started taking place was it before John died?
I think it went on 4 years, 3 or 4 years.
Before he passed away. And then Betsy moves off from here.
Betsy moves off to, there's a lot going on with Betsy. She's dating this local guy named Joshua Gardner. And for some reason, Kate did not want Betsy to marry Joshua Gardner, and that was her main deal with Betsy, not to marry Joshua Gardner. And then Richard R.P. Powell, her school teacher, comes into the picture, and then they start dating and everything, And
was he a local?
he was local.
So she met him before she moved to Mississippi then?
Right.
Gotcha.
In fact, she actually married him, and they had several children.
Gotcha.
And but she moved off to Mississippi after he passed away. He was very influential. He was a pretty well-known guy around the county, and he kind of fell into hard times. They had on Red River down here. They had a flat bottom where they built flat bottoms.
Flat bottom boats.
And they would load their tobacco crops and things on them, and they would go down the river and go down to New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
And he had one that sank with him and lost everything, everything he had invested. So he lost everything he had. So he was more or less destitute, and they passed away. And then Betsy moved off to Mississippi.
Well, I tell you what I'd like to do. I'd like to go see John's grave. Would that be good?
Yes, let's go.
We're going to head to John's grave. We'll see you there. Come on.
Looking for a place to go? The Alabama Music Hall of Fame should be the next place on your bucket list. From the Swampers to Nat King Cole. From country music to the blues. There are music legends everywhere. The Alabama Music Hall of Fame is at 617 Highway 72 West, Tuscumbia, Alabama. The Alabama Music Hall of Fame, where the legends live.
From the pens of the Kennedy twins comes a new literary composition. The renowned authors of The South Was Right and a dozen more publications have become known for their zeal for conservatism and Southern heritage preservation. In their new book, Jefferson Davis' High Road to Emancipation and Constitutional Government, Donnie and Ron Kennedy hold nothing back. They're quick to point out Davis's high road approach to emancipation, while Lincoln chose the low road. Never afraid of controversy and to go against the grain of the politically correct, the Kennedy twins expose how our constitutional republic of sovereign states has been transformed into a deep state of federal government. To get your copy of the book that defends President Davis and the South, go to www.kennedytwins.com. That's www.kennedytwins.com. I found that old Hickory, Andy Jackson, he came up here to see John Bell, and I think he had caught wind of the Bell Witch, as they called it. And so, what was it that happened to him? Something about his carriage getting stuck or something?
Yeah, he left. Andrew left the Hermitage, and was headed. He heard about the Bell Witch and wanted to go check it out for himself. He recruited either a witch. Depends on what record you listen to, is either a witch hunter or a witch killer. So happened that John Bell's son, John Bell Jr., actually fought in the War of 1812 at New Orleans with Andrew Jackson. And that's how the family, they knew him. So anyway, he's coming down the road, and he gets close to the Johnston Springs Road up here, about 300 yards up the field, up the tree line from us.
Right.
And he's coming down the road, and all of a sudden his wheels on his carriage lock up. And the horses can't budge it. I mean, he had several horses, but you wouldn't think it'd take much to drag a carriage wheel, you know, but evidently with Kate behind it, the horses couldn't budge the carriage. So he's sitting there, and he finally, she asked him what his business was, and he said, well, he's going to see John Bell, an old friend of his. She said, okay, Andy, go on about your business and go see John, and released the wheels and let him go. He was going to spend the night. And when he got here, I reckon the activity was so strong and everything was going on, and I don't think the witch killer hit it off too good with Kate.
Probably not.
They ended up leaving that night and going back to Nashville, back to the Hermitage.
Wow. Now, we're next to the gravesite. To kind of wrap things up, I'd like to kind of give an idea to the viewing audience. Now, his demise, what happened to John Bell? We're next to his grave. Now, this is not the original stone. The other one came up missing.
Right. The other stone came up missing, I think, sometime in the 1950s. I don't know who would have come back here and actually found it as isolated as it is. But anyway, somebody some kids found the grave, put the tomb rock in the back of their car and drove off with it. They got involved in a bad car accident, and I think there was 4 of them in the car. All 4 of them perished in the crash. The mother of one of the guy that owned the car went to clean the car out. And a few days later, and opened the trunk and found John Bell's tombstone in the back of it.
Wow.
So she did a little bit of looking up and figured out close to where it may have belonged at, somewhere around Adams, you know. Mm-hmm. So she's out driving around at night trying to find out where to drop this tombstone off at, put it back on the grave. And she just gives up and just backs up to a ditch and just pitches it out in the ditch and drives off and leaves it. So somewhere in Robertson County,
there's
a ditch somewhere. There's a stone with John Bell's name on it, you know. Yeah. But who knows where?
Who knows where? Now let's go ahead and wrap her up and tell me how is it that John died? What was it happened to John?
They woke up one morning. The family got up one morning and John Bell was in bed, and he was more or less just listless, laying in bed. He's having a hard time breathing. One of them got down to say something to him, and they smelled this smell on his breath they never had detected before. And they found a vial beside his bed that had some kind of a smoky colored liquid in it. And they opened it up and smelled of it. It had the same smell as what was on John's breath. And about that time, Kate chimes in and says she has killed old John. She has poisoned John. She has killed him, or he's going to die. And there's nothing they can do about it. So one of them, there's a cat there in the house.
Right.
One of them takes a broom straw out of the broom, just dips it off in the vial and drags it to the cat's mouth. And the cat makes a leap into the air and turns about 3 somersaults and just falls dead, you know.
Right.
So and about that time, John Bell drew his last breath, you know. So and then Kate's taking full credit of his murder, killing him, you know, of his death. But then they actually had they had the servants there at the house, had him laid out in the house, and then marched across the field here, across where we're at now, and buried him here in this spot right here.
Well, that's an intriguing story about John Bell, and we're going to move down the road a little piece, and we may not get to go to the cave. We're going to probably get as close to the sign as we can, but probably. You've got a very interesting story to tell me about the cave. So when we come back, we're going to talk about the Bell Witch Cave.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we'll be right back.
Many years ago, Discovery Park of America was nothing more than a dream for Robert and Jenny Kirkland. Located in Union City, Tennessee, this world-class museum and learning center is second to none. It doesn't matter if you're a teacher planning a class trip, a parent looking for a vacation stop, or an individual who loves history and science, Discovery Park of America is the place for you. From days gone by to the future and beyond, there is something for everyone, no matter your age or point of interest. Since the year 2013, well over 1.3 million visitors have visited our 50-acre, $100 million facility. What used to be a peaceful cornfield in the countryside is now a state-of-the-art destination for you and your family. For more information, go to www.discoveryparkofamerica.com.
When my mother was in college, she danced with Confederate veterans. To me, it wasn't that far away. You know, my father knew this. My mother knew this. Almost 50 years ago, I joined the Sons of Confederate Veterans. In those days, we weren't concerned about saving monuments or any of those things. That wasn't necessary. In fact, none of us had any remote idea that it would ever come up, or we would have done something then. We can't just sit there and react. We have to be proactive.
The Sons of Confederate Veterans is the direct heir of the United Confederate Veterans and the oldest hereditary organization for male descendants of Confederate soldiers. Organized at Richmond, Virginia in 1896, the SCV continues to serve as a historical, patriotic, and non-political organization dedicated to ensuring that a true history of the 1861 to 1865 period is preserved. Membership in the SCV is open to all male descendants of any veteran who served honorably in the Confederate Armed Forces.
The American buffalo, the bison, what a beautiful animal. And it's as if I can hear and see them running down towards the river, thousands upon thousands, and behind them, American Indians chasing them because they're synonymous with each other. The sounds are gone now, but in my new book, Native Voices, you can once again hear the sounds and the voices of the people. Native Voices by David Chaltis on Amazon.com.
Native American Voices by David Chaltis is full of wit and wisdom, straight from the words spoken by the original Americans. Get your copy today on Amazon.com. Located near the homestead of John Bell, it is thought by many that the Bell Witch Cave is the haven for Kate, which is the name of the entity that haunted John and his family. Upon the death of John Bell, some say the hauntings went away, but for others, the presence of Kate is an ongoing occurrence. Although the cave is a present-day tourist attraction, strange things seem to keep happening. In our final segment, Dewey Edwards will share a couple of stories from fairly recent events involving the cave and the infamous Bell Witch. Before we wrap this thing completely up, Dewey, we came down to the cave. It was closed today, but we still have a couple of stories we've got to tell. One of them's about Kate. Now, she had something that she did here at the cave. Now, what was that?
Right. Back when Kate was going pretty strong, some of the kids got down in the cave and were playing with it, playing around in the cave, and playing hide and seek. But one of them found a small hole in the wall and was trying to crawl through. Well, he pushed his candle through first, and he tried to go in behind it, and he got stuck.
Oh,
well,
no.
his candle was on one side of the wall, and he was on the other, and he was hollering, but they couldn't figure where he was coming from because they couldn't see his candle. You know,
Yeah.
he was more or less lost. And they had about to give up on finding him, and then Kate says, "I'll get him out of there." So she goes in, grabs him by the back feet, and just drags him, back legs, and just drags him out. And he's, I guess his teeth probably plowed up into the mud and dirt in the cave as she's dragging him out. But she gets him outside the cave, and you know, when they learn to stay out of the cave, I guess, from that point on.
So Kate could be a hero.
Oh yeah,
Kate
yeah,
could be a
exactly.
hero.
Yes, she did. That's probably one life she probably did save, because he would probably died if he'd been left in there.
Mm-hmm. But he was, I guess he would have been an innocent child, innocent life that
Right,
she saved.
right, exactly.
So that's a very interesting story. Now, we hear that the cave is below a burial ground, correct?
Right.
And it's Native American burial ground.
Right. And that's my theory on the cave itself, is I don't think the cave is actually haunted by Kate. Like I said, like I said, it's below a Native American burial ground. And they always put their burial grounds in a portal or a vortex.
Yeah.
And the portal will extend down through the burial ground, down into the cave. That's why if you pick up a rock or something out of the cave and take it home with you, well, then you've taken part of that portal home with you, and it can release anything that's in that portal in your home. I've had a couple, 3 instances. I'll relate one of them to you. A girl called me from Georgia one day and wanted my help. And so I,
Dewey, help, help.
just about it. Yeah, she kept texting, and so I called her back up. She texted me her phone number, and I called her up. And she had lived up here in Adams. She had took a tour of the cave, and they told her not to pick up, not to take anything out of the cave. Well, she picked up a little small rock, took it home with her, and she says from that point on, her life just fell all to pieces.
Like a curse had been.
Yeah, like a curse, exactly.
Gotcha. She
lost her husband. They got divorced. She lost her home, lost her job, lost her car.
Sound like a bad country song.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Bad country song.
Good song. Yeah. So anyway, she moved to Florida with her sister, and things started going on down there. They had a lot of stuff going on with the house. I got sweat in my eye. Something was going on in the house. They had some electrical issues.
Mm-hmm.
They had a lot of plumbing issues. The air conditioner went out. She called the air conditioner man. He came to the house to work on it, the air conditioner. He went in and come running back out screaming, said, says, you got something in there I can't contend with. I can't go in there and do that.
Wow.
I can't do it. It
was that much of a presence.
That much of a negative energy, right.
Wow.
So they the next day or two, they was got the plumber over, and he did the same thing. He come up in the plumbing truck, got out and come in the house to work on the sink or whatever it was, and he went running back out too. He said, no, I can't do it. Said, you got something in there I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And I think the electrician told him the same thing. So she called me up. She wanted to send a rock back to me, and I said, no, do not send that rock to my address. You don't have my address, and I'm not going to give it to you. Don't send it to my house. But I will give you the address of the cave where you can mail it back to them, and they can put it back in. So sure enough, she did. I got a hold of one of the paranormal groups down there where she's living in Florida, and had them go over, and they brought a priest over. He blessed the house. They smudged it with sage and everything. But after she sent the rock back, everything turned back to normal. And last time I talked to her, she was doing great, and life was back on track again. So.
Dewey, you've really filled our minds with a lot to think about. We've all heard, as we grow up in Tennessee, we all hear of the Bell Witch. Now we know some of the facts. Now we know some of the rest of the story. And I thank you for your time to kind of help build on this story. And I hope to have you back sometime.
Oh yes, anytime. I'm glad to help.
Thank you, sir.
Had a good time.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap up this episode of History Highway. Hope you've enjoyed our story about the Bell Witch from Adams, Tennessee. We'll see you soon.
My crew keeps me on the road from episode to episode, 'cause they all know I got a million stories to tell. I'm no dinosaur, it's cool to explore. What makes a country great and put the crack in the Liberty Bell. So take a ride down the history highway. We're headed back to the days of old. So take a ride down the history highway. I got the pedal to the metal and I'm letting this Chevy roll. I got the pedal to the metal and I'm letting